Looking at this year's draft, there's no surefire number 1 level prospects like there were last year, so that leaves us with a much less clear picture of who should be going number 1. Do you take a high floor, potentially lower ceiling type guy like Zaccharie Risacher, a question mark like Matas Buzelis, or do you go with the guy with the crazy physical traits and insane potential despite pedestrian stats? If you're looking for the swing for the fences home run guy in this draft who still has a pretty solid floor, Alexandre Sarr is probably your type of prospect. After spending some time in Overtime Elite last year, Sarr went over to Australia to play for the Perth Wildcats for a year, and while, like I mentioned, he didn't dominate statistically, he did still have some major flashes, including a dominant 26-point, 10 rebound, 3 assist, 6 block, and 3 steal performance versus the G League Ignite, showing the two-way ability that has put him near the absolute top of draft boards. So today, we're going to break down his game, the pros, the cons, and try to see if he truly has the potential to be the star out of a perceived weak draft, or if he'll be the type of player that never develops into his traits. But with all that, let's get into it. So in shooting, obviously with every modern big that's projected to go top 5 or higher in the NBA draft, teams are looking for unicorn traits. 7-foot+ guys that can shoot and bring the ball down the floor, etc. Sarr does fit that mold as far as his shooting goes. He isn't a spectacular shooter, only going 27.1% from 3 and 70% from the free throw line, but the potential is there. The shot is fine, it looks good, form is solid and repeatable, you just haven't seen him hit it consistently as of yet. It's not for lack of trying, as he has never hesitated to put up a jump shot, but shooting really is where you look at Sarr and see where his potential could lead him. Without much of a three-point shot, he's probably still going to be a solid player, but he will almost certainly not be able to be the top-end producer that you want with a number 1 overall pick if he doesn't get there with his shot from distance. It at least needs to be a threat for him to make it, and I believe he will get there, especially with high-end shooting coaching, which will even more so help him in making the shot at a more consistent level. He doesn't have to be knocked down, just passable. I mean, look at a guy like Miles Turner, who's been in the league for many years and he's always been considered a legit stretch 5. He's only shot 35% from 3 for his career, and Sarr doesn't even have to be that. If he can get up to like a 33% guy from deep, other teams will have to at least respect him out there, which opens up things for the rest of the team. Any improvement beyond that is just icing on the cake. As far as shot creation goes, in so much as Sarr is a 7-1 center, he does a good job here. He's not perfect, and nearly no 19-year-olds actually are, but there's definitely some moments you see him take off down the floor and drive to the basket and you're thinking, man, this guy has some ability that not many guys have. The majority of his talent as a shot creator comes in the fast break, but there have been signs in the half-court game as well. What I love the most here is his mobility with the ball in his hands. He moves like a wing. Other bigs this size, except for Wembanyama, who doesn't count, he's not a real person, almost all look rigid with the ball in their hands. Even if they can handle a little bit, they usually don't look as fluid as your average wing would. Sarr is closer to Wemby than the traditional big in this way. Now, as far as overall skill goes, he is not Victor Wembanyama by any stretch of the imagination, but as far as fluidity with the ball at that size, you do see some shades of Wembanyama's game there. Now, he isn't an isolation size up a defender for a step back type of guy, but again, as far as being 7-1 goes, the ability he has with the ball in his hands is very impressive. Now, Sarr is a bit of a mixed bag as far as a finisher goes. As for the good, he has a good mix of moves he uses on the drive to get to the rim and lay it in over defenders. His creativity on the drive is impressive for a big. In addition, he has a track record of operating in the play finisher role as a cutter and a roller, and his athleticism in combination with his size allows for some solid above the rim finishing. There are some concerns overall as a finisher though. First one is his strength. While it's a pro that he moves like a long wing on the fast break, the downside of this is he has the strength of a wing as well. He has some trouble backing down players that are larger than he is, and the fact that his three-point game isn't all there yet means he's going to have to improve in one or the other if he wants to meet his full potential as an offensive player. If he doesn't become a real stretch 5 threat, he'll have to do most of his damage in the paint. If he has to do most of his damage in the paint, he's got to work on his ability to finish over stronger defenders. His balance here is a bit of an issue as well, which also factors in the strength. He gets bumped and this can knock him off balance, causing him to miss shots that he should be making. He's very right-hand dominant as well. All in all, he's okay as a finisher, but it's an aspect of his game he will have to improve at the top level if he wants to reach his full potential. One thing that while it isn't a huge aspect of Sarr's game, it is still there is his playmaking ability. He's more of a play finisher than a playmaker for others, but at the same time, he does have some pretty solid passing skills for a big man. A lot of his playmaking comes out of the fast break, and he's made a number of passes that can genuinely impress you. Just the fact that he's shown this dynamic in his game is impressive, and it's an indication that he has a good feel for the game overall. It's never a negative to see solid playmaking and passing skills in a player, as it allows for better fits within more systems. Defense is where many have fallen in love with Sarr as a prospect, and I believe for good reason. Defense is his most pro-ready skill, and I believe he has a chance to be the best defender in this class from the first day of the season. It comes down to 1, his length as a shot contester, and 2, his switchability. As a rim protector, he does a very good job. On occasion, he can be caught out of position, but that's usually rare. On a regular basis, he can be seen in drop coverage, consistently contesting opposing players at the rim. He averaged nearly 3 blocks per 36, and watching him play, you can easily see why. Great timing, great length, and good rotation speed. Some may bring into question his strength here, and while you may see it as a slight problem when guarding huge back-to-basket centers like an Embiid, players of that skill set are few and far between in the league these days, really. And just this year, we've seen 2 rookies who were questioned on their strength put in exceptional defensive seasons in Chet and Wemby, so my concern here isn't too major. As far as his switchability, it's great. Very, very good for a big. His lateral quickness and agility is well above average, and you see him regularly switching onto and doing a good job on wings and even guards at times. He's the type of player modern NBA teams want to see on defense as their primary big. I pretty much agree with the most common comparison for Sarr, and that is Evan Mobley. That being said, there are some clear discrepancies between the two as players that makes them distinctly different. Mobley, as great as he is, never seemed like the type of player that had that superstar type ceiling to me, because I felt he had less potential as an offensive scorer than I feel that Sarr has. That being said, Mobley was a better overall prospect than Sarr because his floor was so high. There was no way Mobley wasn't going to be good, in my opinion. Too much talent as a defender, and his polish as a player was really impressive as young as he was. Mobley was stronger, a better passer, a more refined defender, and a better rebounder. Sarr is more of a question mark, but he, to me, has more flashes of the type of guy that could become a superstar offensively. His fluidity and athleticism at his size is really what's eye-catching when looking at his long-term potential. If I were to pick between the two as prospects, I would go Mobley, but there is something to be said about a guy with the level of potential that Sarr has. It isn't as clear-cut as people would have you believe, and if 5 to 7 years down the line, Sarr is a better player than Mobley, I wouldn't be shocked. So in conclusion, while a ton of the aspects of his game are raw and need work, I love the flashes and overall game that Alex Sarr brings to the table. People are rightfully a bit down in this draft class, I believe, as there is a lot to be desired from the depth and the high-end talent both, but if there is a player I would pick as the most likely to be a legitimate perennial all-star out of this draft, it would be Sarr. And while there is still time for my position on this to change, I think that he truly has the best combination of traits and potential that I see at the top end of this draft as of now, and he currently would be the player I would select if I had the number 1 pick in the draft, with the exception of potentially Nikola Topic, due to what I believe is Topic's pro readiness, success at a decent pro level, and elite passing ability. I do think picking between the two, it comes down to need, and if you're looking for the major home run type swing, or if you're looking for a high level playmaking guard with lesser likelihood of top end superstar ability. When it comes to other prospects, Sarr isn't as pro ready as a guy like Risacher, and I see the appeal in some of the other players like Castle and Buzelis, but to me, the mix of skill, youth, and physical ability of Sarr is the best bet if your team is taking a shot at a superstar in a few years down the line. Is he a can't-miss prospect? Not at all. Is it possible that he doesn't pan out whatsoever and ends up being like a solid starter at best? 100%. His offense mainly leaves a lot to be desired as of now, even if he does show potential there. But he is worth the gamble at the top end of the lottery, especially for a team that is lacking that top end superstar, like most teams at the top of the lottery are. I think it's highly probable that he isn't a huge scorer as a rookie, as he really has to develop that first, but I do think at the very least he will be a great defensive player, even at the low end of outcomes. Overall, I am a fan of what Alex Sarr brings as a player. And with all that, we conclude this video. I appreciate you all watching this one, whether you agree or disagree with my analysis here. Go ahead and leave a comment down below, and if you enjoy this type of content, be sure to like and subscribe. But anyways, hope you all enjoyed. Hey, thanks again for watching this video. If you like what you saw, go ahead and click on one of these videos here to see more.